Hello, my dear astrology family, friends, and everyone. Satsang Astrology here again to share a wonderful video about the astrology of the new moon in Scorpio. November 13, 2023. In some places of the world, it might be just overnight, November 12 to the 13th. Very early morning in Central Time, United States, and probably afternoon in Europe and some parts of Asia. But the moon and the sun will be together at 20 degrees, 44 minutes of Scorpio. And we will talk about what are the role of Mars and Uranus in this new moon in Scorpio. Here's the chart. But before we talk about the chart and the aspects and all that jazz, here is how you find me in social media, because I'm pretty sure after this video, you would like to contact me for your reading or to visit my blog, satsangatastrology.blogspot.com, or you can following me on Instagram, MeWe, Tumblr, Facebook. I even have a YouTube. Well, you are watching me on this YouTube Satsang and Astrology, but I also have a Spanish-speaking channel called Lotus Astral. So let's go back to the chart, and I will start going deeper into the energy of this new moon that is happening in just a couple of days. Well, tomorrow, in fact. No, it's going to be on Monday, overnight from Sunday to Monday. Today is Saturday when I am recording this, and the time. Well, I don't know the time exactly, but it's about 11 something Pacific time. So here it is, the chart with a zero. It's a generic zodiac chart that is 0 areas, so that will be for the whole world the same chart. And you need to look at what house you have occupied by the Scorpio new moon and these planets that are piled up there. So we have, first of all, this moon is out of bounds. What does that mean? Well, a planet that is out of bounds, it means that it is outside of the declination between the planes of the ecliptic. You know, the planes of the ecliptic are the imaginary circle, the Earth around the sun. And what happens is that the sun goes south or north to 23 or 27 with 27 minutes of degrees north or south. But the moon is at 27 degrees 46 minutes south of, so meaning that it's about 4 degrees farther than the limit south. So it is a moon out of bound. It means that all the significations and all the archetypal interpretations about the moon are really out of bounds, meaning that it can go berserk and it could be exaggerated. It could be it has this Uranian flavor to the moon, that it can go unexpectedly very emotional. So it's a hidden moon, right? Because it's under the sun's rays. And it's like having those pent up emotions, emotional content that you cannot express, but is so tense and so intense, I would say. So it would be very, very impossible, I would say, to contain those emotions, and I will explain why. So, the day before, in fact, late Friday, we had this opposition between Mars and Uranus, which was correlated to the volcano explosion in Iceland and an increase in seismic activity, especially in Kalau in Indonesia, where they have a magnitude 6.1 or 6.7 earthquake in the ocean, right? And there were about more than 3,000 earthquakes, 6.1 in magnitude, all over the world. So you can see that these things in the sky are reflecting, or they are showing what the activity is on Earth. So it's very correlated energetically. So the Iceland government has declared the emergency because of this volcano eruption. And I think more than 2,000 people have been displaced, or they had to look for shelter in order to flee the threat of the lava and the eruption of the volcano. So this is a perfect symbolism for what Mars opposite Uranus means. It's explosive, is hot, it's really hot, and it comes with Mars in Scorpio. It comes from underneath the Earth. It comes from secret places, from places where we have never dreamed of, because they are so deeply deeply buried. Now, if we correlate this with our human psychology, right? Scorpio relates to our psychological state and the crises that are coming due to the psychological traumas, oftentimes, and conditionings. So we can see that at the moment, humanity is like vomiting this trauma, this psychological baggage that we have, and we are exteriorizing and showing it, like freeing. Uranus is giving us this freedom of getting those out. And well, many people who don't have a good mental stability may have a crisis, for example. But in any case, emotions are pent up, and this new moon start a whole cycle where we might have very hard time to control those deep-seated emotions that are coming out like in explosive manner. So be careful, and like the monk that I follow advises to make a decision ahead of time. When you have trouble with something, make a decision ahead of time, write it down, keep it, and like brainwash your mind with your purpose, your goal. So at the moment, you will remember what your purpose and your goal was. And Well, because with this energy, you may really burn bridges in relationships, right? And that translated to the world situation, to the political situation, with whatever situation, it might really break relationships, break alliances. So this is like a moment of truth where people this month, the whole moon cycle will be a month of telling your truth, really, because it will come out no matter what. So, having that in mind, I will explain in detail because this moon happens in the decan of the moon, of course, because we have in Scorpio, the first decan corresponds to Scorpio, the second one to Pisces, the third one to Cancer. And this moon is in her home. So, it's about looking for safety, for shelter, for protection, for security, for nourishment, for care, right? This moon in the decan of Cancer. Plus, it is in the in the duad of I think Mercury and Jupiter. Just a moment, I will confirm this. So is the decan of the Cancer, the moon, and the duad, no, is the Egyptian term of Jupiter. So Jupiter has the quality of augmenting, expanding, and also having this hope for the future. So it's something that will give us hope and renewed optimism and enthusiasm. So this new moon will be emotions will be out of the limits. They will go out to an extreme of anger, of jealousy, if it applies to your situation, revenge, this I will get back to you, this kind of anger that has been pent up and hasn't been able to express itself. So this will be really ugly in certain situations for certain people. And those people more affected will be, of course, people with Scorpio rising, for example, or if you have Scorpio at an angle, or if you have planets or points, angles of in Scorpio around 20 degrees, let's say 3 degrees before, 3 degrees after, so you will be more affected. And if you have also planets in the fixed signs, Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, then and on top of that, if you have a relationship between the sun and the moon that is in your natal chart, that is a hard aspect like square, opposition, conjunction, etc. Like if you have a new moon, for example, or a full moon in your chart, that will affect you more. So also we have to consider this conjunction with Mars, because Mars is still opposing Uranus, and it will last for a few days after. So if we have seen an increase in seismic activity already for a week. I have looked at the statistics in the earthquake websites, where they have maps and all that, and there has been thousands of earthquakes. And those that are higher in magnitude as well. So the whole earth is angry. People all over the world are angry. and in specific places, the anger has no limits. So it has gone like a volcano eruption. So we need to be careful in places, public places, where there are groups of people, big groups of people in public places. There could be explosions. There could be all of a sudden uh, assaults, aggression, um, and it could come without any signs previously, because Uranus is the unexpected. It is something that comes and we don't even know how it came. It arrives very suddenly, very brutally, because of the opposition with Mars. Mars is brutal, especially in Scorpio, more so than in Aries. So here we have a situation that is terrible. So I would say be cautious, and if you are in your home and your family, be careful. Even if you're alone, be careful with the knives, operating machinery, even driving your car. You could put yourself in a dangerous situation. So just be cautious. It doesn't mean that you're not going to do anything, but just pay attention, be more alert. Don't drive if you have taken some medicines or alcohol, or be careful what you do, that you're not hurting yourself. So especially operating heavy machinery. Let's say that you work in an industry that works with heavy machines, and so you need to be careful with that. So on top of that, we have this trine with Neptune that may really exaggerate even more the thing, especially when the moon and the sun and Mars arrive to the exact trine with Neptune. Because Neptune gives this confusion to the thing. For example, if there is an attack, we might have a hard time knowing who did the attack, or finding where it came from, or finding the authors, or it would be something that comes out of nowhere and we don't know. It could feel as magic, you know, that all of a sudden it came up, Uranus, and then is and Neptune also speaks about hidden enemies. And remember that it is in the decan of Scorpio, or a decan ruled by Pluto. So we have this intense Neptune that has been associated with those um, floods that have been killing people, destroying everything in their way. I saw the storm Kerian in France and Italy and Spain, and also the next storm was Domingos. And I mean, it's been water destroying, killing, exterminating. This is Neptune in Pisces and the decan of Pluto. So it's very, very heavy. I'm really sorry I don't have news that are pleasant, because there is no pleasant energy in the sky. I cannot tell you otherwise. I cannot sugarcoat anything, because it's obvious that there is no good news in the skies. Okay, so Jupiter is kind of distant, however, is ruling the Egyptian term that the moon is in and Mars is in. So we also have Ceres here, and I have explained in previous videos about the connotation of Ceres. We saw Ceres in conjunction with the Saturn-Pluto conjunction in January 2020 in Capricorn, remember? I know that you remember. Well, many people just mention, oh, Saturn-Pluto conjunction, but in fact, it was a 5-planet conjunction. It was the Sun, it was Mercury, it was Saturn, Pluto, and Ceres. Ceres is the biggest asteroid. It is considered like a dwarf planet. And Ceres has been associated with those who take care of the dead, for example, those who can accompany us to the darkest places. So, because Ceres was in charge of attending to the dead in ancient times, right? It was the goddess of well, the myth goes, you know, that Persephone was captured or went willingly to the Hades and married Pluto, or Pluto, Hades just rape her. There are several versions, and Ceres was then had to go to the underworld to rescue her. So she is associated with this accompaniment, let's say the escort to those who go deeper into the quote unquote underworld. So it is present in this new moon. So she might be in charge of escorting you to have an understanding, let's say, an understanding of your deepest psychological findings or traumas, right? So here we have someone who will help us understand what the trauma is, because the trauma is coming out very hot, like a volcano eruption, and it's coming out, and we are having this trauma in front of our nose. We are seeing what the trauma is very clearly, very hot, and it's very hard to bear this obvious trauma that we have been denying for so long. So Ceres will help us, let's say, understand, will help us deal with it. So fortunately, this is, I think, in my point of view, I think this is an accompaniment of an escorting and also a soothing influence for those who are finding these traumas so painful to bear. So pretty soon she will be in sextile with Pluto. So, and they have a good understanding. As I said, she is closing the cycle that she started in 2020, January 12, right? When Pluto and Saturn conjoined in Capricorn. So she will take 4 years to do the whole circle. And now she is in the waning sextile, closing that cycle. So everything that we are experiencing is related to that conjunction in Capricorn. So don't overlook that, because it could give you a good hint about what was your experience with death during the 2020, during the year of 2020. What was your experience with death and trauma back then? Now we're closing the cycle. What else I wanted to say? Let me see my notes. So, This new moon will also be related to cultural traditions, cultural customs, to cultures in general, religion, to foreigners, how we deal with the foreigners. So the trauma could also be related to foreigners, to foreign cultures, to foreign religious, or it could also mean xenophobia, for example, because of the content of this new moon, joined by Mars opposite Uranus. So it has this, let's say, historical as well. And with the influence of Jupiter in the Egyptian term of Jupiter and the previous opposition with Jupiter, it has this content of hope for the future, maybe, or also related to wisdom, related to generosity, maybe. So it has, I mean, it has a very negative connotation, but it also has positive ones that we may use. It's not all negative, even though Mars can represent war, vengeance, retaliation, hate, and long time, stored resentment that is exploding like a volcano. Uranus also brings liberation. And Uranus is in the decan of Saturn, right? In the decan of Capricorn. So we're talking here as a liberation that is historical, that is relating to the past and to the karma, to karmic past, history. And we can see that in the mundane scene, right? The mundane stage, we can see that. But Uranus gives us liberation. We free ourselves from that, and it gives us alternatives as well, because Uranus can see alternatives. Now, other things that can happen is aggression through the air, from the sky, where we don't know where it comes from. I mean, it could be anything, but in the end, this new moon cycle, this moon cycle, the whole month. Remember that the moon brings the energy for the whole cycle, sun moon, meaning 28, 29 days. So the whole cycle will give us a way to transform our life, especially with the themes of the house occupied by new moon, occupied by Scorpio. And it will give us the possibility, the opportunity for healing, especially healing psychological traumas, and freeing ourselves from freedom. Through this crisis, we can be free from fear, from hidden resentment. If we are able to express in a constructive way this resentment, right, we may free ourselves from it. Otherwise, it could be very potent. It could be an aggression. So this could play out in relationships. So make sure that you are warned about this explosive, terrible energy. I mean, any new moon in Scorpio, even without Mars or anything, would be very dark, very dark in figurative meaning. It would be difficult to deal with. That's the truth. But this one is especially hard because of the aspects that it is presenting. So other things that I'd like to point out is about the previous cycle that started with the eclipse in Libra, because the moon was conjunct the south node in Libra. And if we can take a retrospective look at it, I can explain the whole cycle, what was about. And I think it's important to review it because now we're closing that cycle and we're starting the next step. So with the moon conjoined the south node, it's very difficult to get rid of patterns of the past, habits of the past, traumas of the past that haven't been resolved, and they're stored there. When you hold resentment and is rotten inside and smells bad, right? so um, so when a planet joins the south node, the significations go back to the past. And in the sign of Libra, we're talking about relationships. It could be an opportunity to break those tendencies, those conditionings, resentments, and memories of the past, but it may not be that easy. So it's a heightened sensibility, and the relationships are harder due to anxiety and in relationships. So there is a need to develop alternative ways to face those issues that are highly emotional because of the eclipse. And usually those emotional issues are related to the past. So we have seen that in the world stage very clearly. And there is this tendency to hold on to the past, right? Because of the South Node influence on the moon. And the South Node represents all the accumulation of work and actions that we have done in the past or were done in the past. So the moon is the memory. The moon stores that in the memory. So so there is this tendency to revive memories, especially traumatic memories with an eclipse, like it was a solar eclipse. So at the eclipse time and the whole cycle, I think was about exploding out those emotions that were suppressed and sometimes negated or not dealt with. And with an eclipse season, it's very hard to contain the reactions due to the state of the resentment. The longer we hold the resentment, the worse it is, right? And we have seen that, as I said, in the world stage with several events that have been in the news. I don't want to name them, but I think is of the public knowledge. So there is a heightened level of resentment. And here, the moon in conjunction with the south node, and this applies to any moon related in any chart conjunct the south node of the moon. There have been problems in the past with the maternal care, especially if we consider that eclipse, solar eclipse that had just passed, was square Pluto. So there was a call for transmutation of those traumas. And since it is the moon with the south node of the moon, we're talking about all moon symbolisms, not only family, but the tribe, the home country, um, anything that has to do with the history of the home country. So we were called to transmutate that. And there was a call for nourishment, for protection, finding safety. So similar, you see that this solar eclipse in square to Pluto had similar connotations to this new moon in Scorpio, which is a similar archetype, Scorpio and Pluto. So there was this call for contention, for nourishment, for safety, protection. And those traumas, if were not attended during childhood or early in time, then they come up now. So as I mentioned, the lunar nodes contain the accumulation of the karmic past, and the south node of the moon talks about ancestral karma. Um, so it brings, when the moon conjoins the south node, it brings this instability that is caused by the conditionings of those ancestral baggage and background. So the lack of security, the lack of nourishment, and the lack of care it can lead to unconscious reactions that are provoked by this contained and restrained anxiety. And in the sign of Libra, we're talking about relationships. We're talking about, well, I can't hold this anymore. If I am in a relationship that is killing me, right, slowly, well, I can't bear this anymore. I will break out of this relationship because it's killing me anyway. So, and people are ready to risk whatever it takes. Um, so also the traditional values were at play, and it's very important to go back if you have this kind of problems, to go back with a therapist, for example, and examine what are the unconscious triggers that have played out during the eclipse season, right? The whole cycle, since the solar eclipse, then the lunar eclipse, and up to the closing of the cycle, now that is restarting in Scorpio. So all the whole month, we have been dealing with these issues. And with the aspect to Pluto, we're talking about mothers, about women in general. So this is an intergenerational problem that is related to the mother, the mother country, the family, the tribe. So it's, I mean, those are very patent on the news that we have seen during the last month. So I wanted to make that retrospective analysis because I think is feeding into this new cycle starting in Scorpio. It will be definitely very transformative. Next video, I will make another video about the conjunction of Sun and Mars. But just as a preview, I would say, I will put a link in the description below to my article that I wrote in my blog, Satsang at astrology.blogspot.com. I wrote an article that where I research historical conjunctions, Sun, Mars, and what happened then. And I would say that they are joined, Sun and Mars will be conjuncting at 25 degrees. That happened. That is a degree where there was a lunar eclipse last year, 2022, 25 degrees. And at that time, there were a couple of very significant world events. One of them was the killing of a Palestinian American journalist in Israel, in Palestine, I think it was, and that rippled out the whole world. And then there was in United States, there was a massacre of Black people in a grocery store in Buffalo in New York. So those events, I think, are related to what is coming up for the next 2 years. Let's say those are like antecedents for what is coming up. So I'll let you read my blog, and I'll see you in my next video. I hope this description of what this new moon is all about will help you. And if you need to contact me, you have my information. Make sure that you like the video and you subscribe to the channel and you click the bell, so every time I publish a video, you are notified. Thank you so much. I'm ready to hear from you. Any comments or reading requests, I am available. So please don't hesitate to contact me. Here you have my email address. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.